Hey everybody, welcome back. I wanted to try something a little bit different this week. I have had a lot of people ask me how I draw faces, so I thought it would be easier for me to describe it on paper versus digitally. As much as I love doing digital art, I just thought this might be a little bit easier as a kind of tutorial, I guess. More of a walkthrough, I don't know. Anyway, so whenever I want to start drawing a face, I always start just kind of with the most basic circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you kind of want to figure out from the get-go where the face is going to be pointed. For example, they're going to be looking this way. So you want the line that shows the center of their face to curve with the face, and then the line where the eyes sit should be pretty straight across no matter how you have the head. Unless, of course, the head's kind of at more of an angle. Anyway, you want these two lines to pretty much always be at 90 degrees from each other. That's a good rule. I'll start with figuring out where I want to put the nose. I'll just draw a little circle. I'll figure out where I want to put the eyes. Of course, I can change the shape of the eyes after I get into the drawing. This is just kind of figuring out where I'm going to put them. I place a mouth with two little dots. Put a little W almost in the center of that. The lower lip and upper lip, and then from here I figure out which way they're looking as well. Again, for this one I just want them to be looking that way. And most artists will agree that it's easiest to draw a character with a 3/4 profile view instead of straight on. Straight on is just a little bit more challenging, there's a little bit more symmetry, and you want to make sure that everything's just a little bit more precise that way. I don't do a whole lot for the nose. I'll give them a little bitty nostril, kind of show the side of the nose and the little, I do little lines for the shading. Eyebrows. Eyebrows give so much expression. Like for this one I just want them to be kind of a relaxed, happy face. I always give little lines for where the eyelids would be. To start with, I just shade dark and then I'll go light, leaving a little bit of room for the highlights. You can always go back with an eraser after later. I'm just going to give them bangs, I think. Bangs are easier than drawing foreheads. I don't like drawing foreheads, don't ask me why. I just don't like drawing foreheads. Which you would think, oh, there's not that much to drawing foreheads, but every time I draw a forehead, it just looks blank and empty for some reason. The ears almost always will line up perfectly with the eyes. I just put a little ear with just two little lines in that. I think I'm going to give her a ponytail. Give her a little scrunchie. Kind of show where the hair is. Probably wouldn't be quite that voluptuous for her hair. It's a drawing. I can draw it however I want. And that's pretty much the head. Of course, with there you can go the neck. The back of the neck is almost always going to line up with the back of the head. Of course, this changed with a little bit more perspective. And that's just kind of the basic drawing. Again, if you want a frontal view, I don't know why I'm drawing at that angle. That is a really weird angle. Frontal view is just a little bit more challenging. 3/4 view is like my comfort zone. If you look at my art, most of my characters are not directly facing the viewer. They're like 3/4 turned. And they may be looking at you with their eyes, but their face is turned a little bit to the side. Ooh, I forgot the blush. I'm going to give her just a little bit of blush. Rub that out just a little bit. And you can always go back in with the pen later and figuring out the fine details. I think I just hit my Eevee. You can always go back in and figure out the finer details with the pen and erase your lines. It's just easier for me to start with a pencil. So with the frontal view, you kind of want to make sure that it's more symmetrical, which is already presenting a little bit of a challenge. Just there, even little bits of the nose, little nostrils. You don't see as much of the nostril from the front view as you would from the 3/4 view. One thing I've seen artists do, and I used to do really bad, is draw one eye, complete it, and then move on to the other eye. That may work for some people. I know for me and most other artists, it's best to do a little bit of one eye and then move to the other eye and then back and forth. That makes it easier to make it symmetrical, so if you add a little detail on the one eye, it's easier for you to remember it and transfer it to the other eye. If you try to do one and then move on to the other one, it just presents more challenges. And that's pretty much anything with either side of the face. If you want to give them freckles, make sure that you do it on both sides, and so on. So just here, I'm gonna draw the basic shape and then kind of go back and forth. Little lines to show the eyelids again. We'll give her eyelashes this time. Eyelashes almost always go out. You can do a full eye of eyelashes. I typically don't. I'll typically just do the edges. And don't forget, eyelashes curve. So say this is the right eye, right? You don't want lashes to just kind of do that. Lashes naturally curve. They tend to dip just a little bit before they go up. Kind of more like that. And don't be afraid to have a little bit of the eyelash coming down and swooping in front of the eye. That's totally normal for eyelashes to do that. It makes your character look a whole lot more natural than having them with perfect straight eyelashes. Another thing to be sure to remember is make sure that the highlight is coming from the same side. So the light would be coming in at this direction. So all of your shades, all of your shadows would be down here on this side. You can shade it just a little bit. Shade where the nose goes. Her little chin. I'm gonna give her bangs again, because like I said, no foreheads. Only 5 heads. How many of you actually know what a 5 head is? I don't remember where I heard it. Probably a YouTuber or something, a YouTube gamer. They come up with the weirdest terminology sometimes. Don't be afraid if you're drawing the hair to come up a little bit above the line where you drew the skull. Just because hair is, it tends to be a little bit thicker. Nobody's hair is going to be totally that thin. A good rule when drawing the neck is to line it up with the halfway point of the eye. That just makes the neck look more natural. And of course, some people draw them a little bit thicker, draw them a little bit thinner, kind of based on how their style is. I tend to do a cartoony, anime-inspired look with a little bit of realism. But do it however you want to do it. There is no right or wrong way to do art, as long as it's not for a class assignment. If it's for a class assignment, it seems there is a right and wrong way to do art. That may be just a little bit too harsh for the shading, so I'm going to take my kneaded eraser, which I like kneaded erasers instead of regular erasers because they don't leave the little peelings everywhere. And you can also just kind of dab it like that and pick it up a little bit. For a little bit of blush on each side. Put the shading on the nose. Color in her lips maybe a little bit. I don't think I talked about this, but I assume most people know at this point. If you're working with pencil, even if it's a mechanical pencil, and you can kind of fill in an area like that and just rub it with your finger. There are tools that they make to do this, but you can see that it just kind of blurs it out. It makes it just a little bit lighter. Your fingers will be messy. Happens. But that's just a way to smooth out your lines just a little bit. I like to do it with shading and blush. Maybe show her ponytail in the back right here. And I'll typically go in and draw a little bit of a darker circle just to show where the iris is. I feel like that tends to give the characters a little bit more life. Helps you to see like where they're looking. If they're blank like this, you kind of assume that they're looking that way. But then if I draw her little irises, you can kind of see for sure, oh yeah, that's definitely where she's looking. But yeah, I'll probably stop it here. I just wanted to give a quick kind of tutorial-ish video. I also wanted to try out this new setup. Let me know what you guys think, if you like this setup better, if you like it whenever I draw it digitally better. Yeah, just let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great week. Bye!